Welcome into the Marriage Talk podcast. It's the most wonderful time of year. That's what we're told. We're entering the holiday season as we sit down to record this conversation just a few days before Thanksgiving. We know that this kicks off a really cool time, but for many of you, a very stressful time in your marriages and throughout the family. So we're glad to have you with us. Bill Hobson here, along with Jay and Laura Laffoon. And I was going to play the old Andy Williams song, Most Wonderful Time of the Year, but then we would get copyright striked and we wouldn't be available anywhere. So we'll just refer everybody to your memory bank of that song. And you know that the holidays do bring a little shift in mindset. And today we're looking at a concept under the umbrella of he said, she said, as it applies to the holidays. I'll let you two take it from there.
Well, it is the holidays.
It's my most favorite time of the
year. Oh my
year.
goodness.
It is.
Buddy the Elf, the movie Elf, she's Buddy's cousin. I mean, she literally, when it comes to this time of year, she is like giddy all the time. And I've just learned to appreciate it. At first it annoyed me, but now I appreciate it.
I should have a Christmas mug.
Yes,
I'll have to have a Christmas mug.
Yes, but it was the day after Halloween, and we were in our local grocery store, and they were playing Christmas music on November 1st. Oh my goodness! So it is a wonderful time of year. But
Jay doesn't know that Christmas music is on in the car right now when he turns it on.
Yeah, but it is awesome. It's a wonderful time. We celebrate Thanksgiving. We're grateful for everything that we've got. We celebrate the birth of our Savior. We celebrate a new year.
It's time with friends and family,
and it's going to start getting light again and not be 12 hours of darkness. All those things are awesome, but it does create some extra stress. And so we've got some phrases we want to share with you that your spouse needs to hear, and even more so at this time of the year because of the added stress. And what it's going to do for your marriage is it's going to solidify your marriage at this time when you are making memories and you are creating those opportunities for family to grow closer. These phrases will add a richness to those experiences.
Yes, and I think kind of a precursor to that is one of the things that we've learned over many years of marriage is sit down before the holidays hit. Sit down and kind of get out your calendar. Here's what we have to do during these holidays. We have to be at mom and dad's. We have to be at grandma's. We get to be home. We have this school pageant. We have this church pageant. We have this, that, and the other thing. The best thing you can do is communicate. And that's why we're talking about these phrases today.
Yes. And it is one of those things that you wish it could be automatic. You wish you could just switch it on autopilot and have it be the same every year. But doggone it, Uncle Harry, he keeps coming to Christmas dinner and messing things up. And so we've got to have that tension released between husband and wife.
Yeah. And how do we anticipate what Uncle Harry might be bringing with him confrontationally or politically or whatever, because a little prep work is probably a good idea. And Laura, I'm glad you mentioned the coordination of schedules, because in this age where we can share calendars through our phones, I had actually said to my wife yesterday, every time you go to meet somebody for coffee or whatever, you don't have to put that on the calendar that we share, which is fine. I don't need to have all those dots appearing on my little, because it makes me feel like I'm missing that I'm supposed to be somewhere. And then she said last night, she said, hey, by the way, Friday, I'm going to go and have dinner with my friend and we're going to go do something. And I said, how do you know that I didn't have a big date Friday night planned for us? Because she just kind of sprung that on me, and she said, because it's not on the calendar. So I instantly grabbed my phone and I added big Friday night date to the calendar. And she told me it was too late.
Yes. There are rules to this, Bill. There are rules.
I am learning. 35 years in, I am learning. So let's get into some of the phrases that you want spouses to share with each other to hopefully unplug the electric prod that comes with all this stress during the holidays.
Yeah. So the first phrase, gentlemen, talking to you right now, that your wife needs to hear is, I love you. Now, I can already hear in your heads, you're going, well, yeah, Laura, we know that. Of course she needs to hear I love you. But, we have a friend who said, I stood at the altar and I told her I love her. I tell her every year on her anniversary and I'll let her know if it changes. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that kind of I love you, but letting your wife know that you love her in many different ways. Love is not just words, it's action. And so especially during this time of year, you can say I love you in a lot of different ways. Offering to help with gift buying. I know for us, Jay, the kids open the gifts on Christmas morning and he's just as surprised as they are because he doesn't even
we got you that. That's what we got you.
But offering to help
That is for everybody.
that says I love you.
Well, there's what I try and tell the fellas as because we are so simple, we are so and it's not a bad thing, but use your 5 senses to tell your wife that you love her. And there you've got 5 different ways that you're telling her that you love her. You're going to speak it. I've yet to meet the woman who's like, oh my goodness, my husband tells me I love you all the time. Oh, it makes me sick. No, I haven't met that lady, In fact, most of the time it's the opposite. I wish he would tell me I love you more. And because it doesn't get old. If it's genuine, if it's sincere, you can't wear that phrase out. But to tell her, to let her feel you say I love you, especially this time of year, to hold her hand, to rub her knee, to give her that gentle back rub, because she's as stressed as you
get all
are.
the holiday feels.
Right, get that, let her feel. Here's a big one. Let her taste you say I love you. All these holiday dinners, you're going to be drinking coffee and probably eating stuff that's has some spices in it. Make sure that when you kiss her, she's not tasting dinner, or your coffee break. Okay, when you kiss her, make sure she's got minty fresh scope there. So hearing, feeling, tasting,
smelling.
There's a big one, and we get a lot of pushback on this. I do, but I am a big proponent of men taking showers at night, and they're like, "Oh, what do you mean taking a shower at night?" I'm like, dude, what woman wants to crawl into bed with a man who has a day's worth of sweat and grind? Well, it's just the scent of a man. No, that's called body odor, so personal hygiene, to let her know I care about how I smell in front of you. And then the last one, Bill, and this one's really powerful, I think, is to let her see you say I love you. Marriage, for some reason, tends to turn a gaze into a glance. And the way we used to look at her, she notices that we don't look quite that way anymore. And so this holiday season, during Thanksgiving and Christmas, just let your wife see you see her, and let her really understand that she means the world to you, and let her know that with your eyes. The Bible's clear. The eye is the window to the soul. So let her see you say I love you.
And buy her a really good Christmas gift. That'll be
that'll
be I love you right on. But seriously, when your wife is feeling stressed because you've got this party and that party, or the family's coming or whatever, take 10 minutes and just say, you know what, let's just go sit down and have a cup of coffee. And she's going to say, no, I've got too much to do. Nope. This will relieve the stress. And that will be the seeing I love you, the tasting I love you, just take some time to just show her. And as we've covered the love languages in past podcast episodes, you can go back and revisit those. Speaking her love language at this time of year will be huge, whether it's quality time or gifts or acts of service, offering to help. Those kinds of things really speak I love you at this time of the year.
There's a saying, and we're not going to go this direction, but I'm going to use it as an illustration, that for a man, when all is right in the bedroom, all is right in the world. And for a woman, when all is right in the world, all is right in the bedroom. We're not talking about that, but especially this time of year, and especially if you're married to a wonderful woman like I am, who wants this to be special, special, special with family, with friends, help her make it all right in the world. Help her understand that you love her enough to help her hang that 85th wreath, outside, or that 72nd string of lights that she wants to. That'll just be perfect if we just have one more string of light. Okay, honey. Anything for you. That's what we're gonna do.
One more Christmas mug. I just bought some the other day. And he's like, really? I'm like, yes, these say grandma and grandpa, so they're important. We gotta have these.
How much more intense is the holiday pressure when you are the host home versus you're making road trips? What's the difference in that dynamic when
I
people
think
are coming to your place?
the stress is different, but it's still stress. For us, people are coming here. We're the host home. I want everything to be perfect. I want everything to smell good. I want my house clean. I want all the gifts wrapped. But when we were traveling, when we had the kids and we're taking the kids here, there, and now, and then you've got kid stress. You've got to get them up. The kids are tired. They get all kinds of toys. They get jacked up on sugar. There's all kinds of that stress also adds to it. And so it's just understanding what is the stress level and how do we handle that stress?
Right. And for example, that's a great question, because I'm an introvert by nature. I recharge by being alone. Well, when we host the holidays, I will look at Laura and say, I'm going to go to the store. And that's just code for, I'm going to get in the car by myself and just get away for 15, 20 minutes because I need a break.
Or he
And
goes and sits in another room,
or I'll
which
go,
is fine.
go read a book in our library, kind of a thing. And so that's the stress there. Conversely, when we travel, I'm stressed because I don't feel like I'm in control, because I'm an introverted control freak.
We're at somebody else's house and they're in charge.
Right. And so there is all those different stresses depending on your makeup and how you view the world, and even the difference between introverts and extroverts.
And one thing we used to do, especially when we were going to somebody else's house, whether it's a holiday party or we have Christmas at somebody else's house or a meal, we have code words. And we decide what those code words are before we walk in the door. This means I've had enough. When I say, man, it's been a long day, that means it's time to go home, whatever it might be.
That
We
reminds,
all
that reminds me of the scene in the Seinfeld episode where Jerry and Elaine were going to a party and they worked out a signal ahead of time. And the signal was, when I need to get out of here, I'm going to pat myself on the head, which is a strange signal. Well, one of them was caught up in a conversation with somebody, and the other one was just, I think it was Elaine was beating herself senseless trying to get out of this deal, and the signals were missed. But I'm also then reminded that there are times when the two of you may be traveling to a friend's house for a get together, a dinner or something, but it's the friend of one of you,
right?
And the other one comes in like completely unconnected to anybody there. And if you're not a fan of small talk, which by the way, I'm not wanting to go to those settings. It can be really, really rough, which I think kind of leads us into your next phrase, which is, I respect you.
Yes.
There's got to be, as part of that groundwork that you're laying for whatever the calendar looks like. Obviously, we want to do these things out of love, but how does I respect you fit into all this?
And it does flow both ways. That she needs to show respect for me, but I also need to show respect for her. And that's where, again, communication comes in, that you just really have to talk about the boundaries. What's, a perfect example of what you were talking about there is the office Christmas party.
Yes.
Don't drag me to the office Christmas party where I know no one and everyone thinks you hung the moon, because they're going to be fawning all over you and whatever. And I'm going to be sitting there going, okay.
But there's a mutual respect of, this is your office Christmas party. And yes, everybody thinks you hung the moon, so I need you to be a part of that. So there's mutual respect of, and that's why what I said in the beginning is so important, as sitting down and looking at what your calendar is for this holiday season, from Thanksgiving till the new year. What is expected? What's fair to both of you? Is it fair, if you have 5 Christmas office parties, because you've got this department, that department, and the other department, how about it's fair that I only go to 1 or 2, and you can go to all 5 of them by yourself.
And it's funny because we use that phrase a lot in our marriage. Is this fair to both parties concerned? And it sounds like we're, we're 8-year-olds. That's not fair. No, we're not talking about that. It's not, Mom. It's okay. What's, and it is that respect. Is it fair for me to expect this of you? And is it fair to have this expected of me?
And I think the respect also plays into we have family coming over, and it's your family that we have coming over.
Did you hear the tone of that voice? Your family.
It's not
Realistic.
Our family.
it's your family. And so out of respect for your family, I'm going to do things the way it needs to be done, the way that their traditions or whatever it might be. But also out of respect, I need your help. I need you to, because this is your family, I need clear communication about what is expected. Because I want to respect your family. I want to respect your family's traditions, but I need your respect in helping me make sure that all of those dots are dotted and T's are crossed and things like that. So
like, for instance, we know that every Thanksgiving, the Lions either play at 12:30 or 3:30. Let's just figure out when that is and just schedule dinner accordingly, just around.
Amen.
That's what-
Amen.
Not too much to ask.
That's not that hard to do, is it?
in
It's
fact, we're having
publicly available information.
Yep, we were having that conversation today because Jay's mom wants to have Thanksgiving. We have a little bit different. Thanksgiving is just a few of us, and then we have a big family Thanksgiving on the weekend when the kids can be here. And so it's just about 5 of us on Thursday of Thanksgiving, the Lions Day. And she was like, well, I just wanted to do I want you to be over here. We're just going to do some finger foods. I'm like, perfect. We can have those all through the game.
Pigs in a blanket go great with football, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, you talk about the perfect storm coming together here. Let's just look at Thanksgiving, and we've got, the line. For those of you listening in other parts of the country,
The world.
I know this makes no sense to you, but our Lions have been terrible for a long time, and right now they're quite good. So there's a lot of people excited about watching them play. And Thanksgiving even when they're horrible on Thanksgiving, we still watch them play.
That's right. That's a tradition.
It's like Charlie Brown and the Pumpkin Patch. I mean, it just cannot
Yeah.
miss this. And then Friday, of course, everybody recovers, and you can, I guess, if you want to go fight the crowd, you can go shopping. But then on Saturday, Michigan plays Ohio State. So we have
That's
we
right.
have like a 3-day window that we've really got to emphasize that respect concept. Both sides.
The other thing, Bill, on Friday and Saturday, the Michigan High School Athletic Association holds their state finals, and those are televised. So it is football heaven. If you like football,
Okay.
that weekend for us is football heaven.
But that's a part of respect too. And as you were just talking, Bill, I was thinking, being flexible, because, one of our traditions in our family has always been Christmas. I mean, Thanksgiving happens on Thursday. Friday, we decorate for Christmas. And on Saturday, we have birthday party because we have a few birthdays here between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Well, this year, because our kids can't be here until Saturday, everything gets changed. Actually, they're coming Friday night. So I said to Jay, so that means we have to decorate on Thanksgiving Day for Christmas because we're not going to get decorate Friday.
And I said, as long as we're done by the time the Lions
and
come
so
on, I'm
out of respect for my traditions and how much I love Christmas. He said, great, we'll decorate in the morning. We stop for the Lions game. Then we'll decorate again after the Lions game. But again, that's part of respect too, I think, is being flexible with the changes that happen as your seasons change and your life changes. I think that's also a part of this speaking respect to each other.
Yeah, and trying to be more mature than I normally am. I realize that I've got a little grandson that'll be part of our world, and he's my favorite little kid on the planet. So if he wants to wrestle at a key part of the game, I'll put him on pause, watch the game, then come back.
right.
What's our third phrase?
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. And this is just that, again, this goes along with respect, but I'm thank you. You don't have to say the words, I'm so proud. But that
using the words, thank you,
really showing them with your words, how much you appreciate what they've done. Like, for example, I don't know when it was, but Laura has been Christmas crazy her entire life. We got married at Christmas time because our church was decorated perfectly. And that's great, but I didn't understand it at first. But about 10 years into our marriage, I'm a slow learner, I realized how important this was. And so I started really not griping on the day after Thanksgiving when we're hanging up all the Christmas decorations. I wasn't joyous about it, but I stopped griping. And she's like, I really appreciate your change in attitude. I'm so proud that you're willing to do this with me. And that is just a showing of gratitude during these tense times, these high pressure times of the holidays, that goes a long way. And you know,
And you really have to be on the lookout. I mean, you really need to be intentional about watching and looking and listening during this time of the year about what your spouse is doing, and you know that it's out of their comfort zone. Like our immediate family, Jay's family, we all like to play games. Jay's not a game player. He does not want to sit down at a table and play games, but he will, because he knows everybody wants to do it.
because everyone wants to beat me, that's why.
And so again, I try and really be intentional about thank you, you know, after it's all done, and thank you for playing the games. And when we're playing the games, trying to tamp down the fact that everybody is trying to get Jay to lose. And it is what happens there. Everybody just gets out for him. So I try and pick somebody else to pick on instead of Jay. So, but seriously, but really being intentional about watching and realizing that there are things that your spouse is doing that are out of their comfort zone, and really being intentional about saying thank you. Thank you for being a part, or doing this or doing that.
And looking at progress. You know, there's no perfection in this world, but think about your spouse 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Have they improved in this area? And one of the things that Laura's improved in that I'm really proud of, but it's a burden, is her father, a little backstory, her father was a type 1 diabetic, juvenile diabetic. So they ate meat and potatoes. That was what they ate all the time. And so when Laura came into the same thing over and over. So Laura had about 5 recipes that she knew when we got married, and they're all good, but it was the same 5 recipes. And then I just said, could you maybe start watching the Food Network, or, you know, when you're on.
Suggested, I just started watching it.
Well, now she's like this gourmet cook, and now it's a problem on the other side because I can't lose any weight because she makes such great food. But at Christmas time and at Thanksgiving, she's always got the absolute, and I'm so proud of the woman that she's become. And she's going to be that grandma that the kids love to come to grandma's house and eat because she's always got the best food. Well,
and candy out.
Yeah. You know, I want to acknowledge that in her, that she's really grown in that area. These are the kind of things that during the holidays, you might not think they make a big difference, but it's that incremental change that really sets a different course for your marriage.
We face these moments during the holidays, especially if it's a large family gathering, where the two of you need to remember it is the two of you as the top priority in the room, right? We want to be around family. We want to be around our friends. We want to have the kids we want them to have a good time. But I think that there is something, and my wife is so good at this and so much better at it than I am, of coming over to me at some point and saying, "You all right? How you doing?" You know, in an overwhelmingly crowded setting, or where there's 95 voices going in all different directions, it's just not my comfortable space. But she always say that, especially when we're at a gathering with her family, who I love dearly. There's a lot of people. And there will be times where it's kind of, hey, let's go outside for, a couple minutes kind of a thing. So I so much appreciate that idea of that respect, and I'm proud of you. And it's kind of a teamwork approach, right? And the same thing would hold true for those of you who have that awkward relative who would do or say something out of line. Let me just encourage you to make sure you have your spouse's back.
Right.
But if you see that happening, or you hear that comment, I'm not suggesting that you break out the taser and drop the guy, but although that would make a memory, right? But maybe you can pull him aside and go, "Hey, listen, she's really been having a rough couple of weeks here because of whatever. That one got her. I could tell. So I need you to not say that, or maybe apologize. I mean, whatever it is. And if it ends in a brawl, it ends in a brawl. That's why we have cameras on our phones."
Well, and the final phrase for this week, Bill, is probably the most important. And it's, I need blank from you. And this is the key to clear and concise communication. Don't expect your spouse to mind read. Don't expect your spouse to remember that we've done this for 18 years in a row.
And to get subtle hint and innuendo, that's not going to happen.
And don't even hint about it. I need blank from you, because what it's going to do is it's going to cut through all of the noise that happens this time of year. And that's the best way for me to describe it, is this time of year is full of so much noise, and it's going to cut right through that noise to say, okay, you need that from me. You need me to go hang the outdoor Christmas lights. I can do that. Or you need me to go pick up this from the store because we forgot it on our grocery list. I can do that. Or I need you to give me some space because I've just been around people for way too much time. And to just be clear, and you can say all of that in tones and temper that lets your spouse know, I'm not saying I dislike you. I'm not saying that I'm upset with you. I'm just saying, here's what I need from you right now.
Another way you can do that is, especially when you have, 30 people in your home and you need your spouse in the kitchen to do something, instead of, which I'm guilty of, yelling from one end of the house to the other, trying to yell over all those 30 people to get Jay's attention, is to just walk in there, look him in the eyeballs and say, I need you in the kitchen. And then they get up, walk out. Here's what I need you to do. Chop these carrots, chop these potatoes, and whatever it is. But again, that's a clear and concise type of communication, rather than it's getting through the noise. It's getting through the noise of people and the party and everything that's going on, and just looking eyeball to eyeball and say, join me in the kitchen, or join me in the living room, or join me in the car. I need to go.
Yeah, I love that. And I know we're going to have kind of an extended discussion on this topic, and we'll carry it into next week as well. But one of the things that I keep on coming back to is that it's super easy during the holidays to so overload your schedules that you don't enjoy any of it, because you've always got somewhere to go. You've never put on the pajama pants. You've never made the hot chocolate. Or enjoyed the decorations that took you a day and a half to put up, because you're always going somewhere. And maybe one of those fill in the blanks that I need from you is, maybe I just need a day off, or I just need to relax with you.
A mental health day.
Yeah,
Sure.
something, or a holiday health day. I mean,
there you go.
We make all these preparations. We spend a fair amount of money. We do all this driving. We have all the invitation. And at some time you get to January 3rd and you go, what happened to the holidays? You never enjoyed them.
Right.
These are supposed to be a time of rest, a time of thankfulness, a time of honoring the actual reason for the holiday when it comes to Christmas. And it's just, I see it all too often. It's just a shame when we completely miss the point, because we're trying to get the point at hyper speed all the time, never stopping, and then it's gone. So, it's like it's gone in a flash.
Yep.
So,
And to really, really relish that time and
Yeah.
to savor it like you would a really good meal. You don't want to wolf down a really good meal. You want to savor every bite. And that is kind of the opportunity that we have to, what gear are we going to drive through this season in? Are we going to drive in 8th gear and fly through it? Or are we going to take the time? One of the best ways, I think, to savor and relish this time of year is through traditions. And we did a couple of traditions with our children that we still are doing with our grandchildren. And one is our church has Christmas Eve service. And then after Christmas Eve service, we would get in the car and we would drive around our little town of Alma and look at all the Christmas lights. We knew what streets were always going to be lit up really well. We knew the street where it was going to be lined with little luminaries on the ground, because that's what they do on their street, and so that was always a opportunity to say, we're gonna just drive slowly through town and enjoy this. And then the others, we always had a tradition about the story of the Christmas tree. And there's much symbolism in the Christmas tree that you can draw regarding Christ and regarding his coming to the earth, and we would tell our kids that story, and it was amazing. By the time they're probably 7 or 8, they could tell us the story, and so that was always fun. Then,
well, we also have a tradition that Jay's mother started years ago. On Thanksgiving, everybody gets a personalized ornament, and Jay's mom did it for years, and now it's my job to do that, to make sure everybody has
It's
a
not your job,
personalized
it's your
story.
joy. Change,
It's my joy.
change one letter and you turn your job into joy.
That was good.
Yeah.
But everybody at Thanksgiving dinner gets a personalized ornament, something special, something that means something to them or about them. And so
I have
part of it-
8,000 golf ornaments.
I
in-
can only imagine how many.
So at that time, when we talk about the story of the Christmas tree, we turn all the lights out in the house, we light all the candles that we have, the Christmas tree lights are on, and everybody talks about their favorite ornament that they've gotten over the years. And it's a really fun time to just reflect on the memories that everybody has of Christmas and the family. And then we talk about the Christmas tree too. So again, the ornament is a tradition that kind of carries on into that.
And it's like, as you were talking, it's a moment to pause. We're going to take a deep breath, and we're going to avoid all the hustle and the bustle. And we're just going to be, as a family, we're just going to take a little time and breathe.
Yeah. That's good stuff. And it's a good start to our two-part conversation to help you all through the holidays. And my guess is that if you happen to be stumbling across this episode and it's well past the holidays of 2023, these things will still apply to the holidays of 2024. And
beyond.
Interestingly enough, we don't seem to get all that stressed out around Easter or 4th of July. But when it comes to Thanksgiving and Christmas, when the pressure to buy the gifts and all the other things comes on, it's when everybody is at their most tense. And so hopefully these ideas, these concepts, these words will help. And next week we'll add to the list by a few. So make sure you join us again next week on Marriage Talk. And don't forget, you can go to marriagetalk.org for every episode we've ever done. And you can search for them by topic in case there's something that's a particular challenge in your world right now. So check that out. And please subscribe to the podcast and share the link with some others in your world. And we'll talk to you again next week.